What if a simple, daily act of kindness, like setting out a bowl of kibble on your porch, could completely rewrite the local ecosystem, trigger an invisible feline turf war, and fundamentally alter your neighborhood's wildlife dynamics? Today on Mindful Meow, we are tracking the fascinating biological, behavioral, and environmental chain reactions that occur when you feed stray cats every single day. If you want to decode the secret science, hidden politics, and real-world impact of supporting your local community cats, hit that subscribe button and drop a like right now as we open the case files on neighborhood feline ecology. 1. The immediate nutritional stabilization. Our first case file looks at the immediate physiological transformation of the cats themselves. In the wild or on urban streets, a stray or feral cat exists in a state of chronic nutritional stress. Their biological systems are hardwired to survive on highly unpredictable, low-yield food sources, hunting small rodents, scavenging through garbage bins, and competing fiercely for scarce resources. This erratic diet means their bodies are constantly cycling through periods of starvation and survival-driven overeating. The moment you introduce a reliable, calorie-dense food source at the exact same time every single day, their biology undergoes a radical shift. The constant flood of cortisol, the stress hormone that governs their daily search for fuel, begins to drop. With a steady influx of predictable proteins and essential amino acids like taurine, their bodies finally drop out of survival mode. Their immune systems strengthen. Their coats become glossier as their bodies can afford to divert nutrients to skin health, and their overall physical condition stabilizes. You are effectively shifting an animal from a high-stress feral existence into a managed, semi-domesticated state of health. 2. The internal feline GPS blueprint. When you establish a daily feeding routine, you aren't just dropping food on the ground, you are actively rewriting the mental geographical map of every cat in a 2-mile radius. Cats possess an incredibly sophisticated internal navigation system governed by an acute sense of time and geographic boundaries. They operate on strict behavioral routines called patrol loops, mapping their territory based on resource density. If you place a bowl of food on your porch at exactly 8 a.m. every morning, the local strays will program that specific time and coordinate directly into their internal GPS. Within less than a week, their biological clocks will synchronize with your schedule. They will begin arriving at the feeding station 30 to 45 minutes early, sitting in hidden staging areas like under bushes, behind fences, or beneath parked cars waiting for you to appear. By providing a fixed point of high-value nutrition, your backyard effectively becomes the central hub of their entire daily territory blueprint. 3. The pheromone homing beacon effect. One of the most immediate, unseen consequences of feeding a single stray cat is the rapid, invisible expansion of the feeding pool. You might start by feeding one lonely tabby, but within a few weeks, 3 more entirely new cats suddenly materialize at the bowl. This isn't random coincidence, it is the direct result of chemical engineering and feline pheromone mapping. When a cat consumes a high-value meal and feels secure in a specific geographic location, their body automatically responds by dropping scent markers. They will begin rubbing their cheeks, flanks, and paws against your porch steps, fence posts, and empty bowls. This behavior, known as bunting, deposits specialized sebaceous secretions and pheromones that advertise safety and abundance. To human noses, these markers are completely imperceptible. To other roaming cats, however, these chemical signals light up the neighborhood like a neon billboard, broadcasted over long distances, high-value resources located here. Safety verified. Your yard is no longer a private property, it is a publicly advertised feline sanctuary. 4. The breakdown of territorial law in the baseline feral world. Space equals survival. Cats are inherently solitary, highly territorial apex predators who fiercely guard their hunting zones against outsiders to protect their food supply. Encroaching on another cat's territory typically results in violent, high-stakes acoustic posturing and brutal physical conflicts to preserve resource dominance. However, the introduction of a daily, unlimited human feeding station completely scrambles this foundational evolutionary law, creating what biologists call the power center paradox. Because the food supply you provide is suddenly infinite and requires zero energy to hunt, the evolutionary necessity to defend an expansive hunting territory evaporates. Cats that would normally be mortal enemies learn to establish a tense, highly structured truce. They implement a system of time-sharing where the dominant cat eats first while subordinate cats wait patiently in the shadows for their turn. You are effectively forcing a solitary species to adapt to an unnatural, hyper-condensed social colony structure right outside your back door. 5. The backyard apex predator dilemma. This brings us to a highly debated ecological case file, the direct impact on local wildlife. A common myth among meaning animal lovers, is that a well-fed cat will stop hunting birds, mice, and lizards because they are no longer hungry. Forensic behavioral analysis of the feline species proves the exact opposite. Cats do not hunt exclusively out of a biological hunger drive. They hunt because they are genetically hardwired, highly specialized opportunistic predators. The sight of a fluttering wing or a scurrying tail triggers an involuntary, automated predatory strike reflex in their midbrain, completely independent of how full their stomach is. In fact, providing a stray cat with a daily, reliable food supply actually optimizes their hunting efficiency. Instead of wasting energy foraging through trash or traveling miles for food, their bodies are rested, fully charged, and functionally sharper. A well-fed stray cat has the luxury of hunting purely for sport and practice, meaning local backyard bird and small mammal populations often face an increased, highly energized predatory threat. 6. The hypervelocity colony explosion. If the stray cats entering your yard are unneutered or unspayed, a daily feeding routine acts as a literal turbocharger for the local feline population density. In the harsh wild, a female cat's reproductive cycle is naturally regulated by environmental stress and caloric scarcity. If her body fat percentage drops below a certain survival threshold, her reproductive system will temporarily shut down, or her litters will be significantly smaller due to nutritional deprivation. By providing a reliable, nutrient-dense diet every single day, you are inadvertently signaling to their reproductive systems that the environment is in an optimal, high-abundance state for child rearing. Gestation cycles become highly successful, and mother cats can easily produce larger, healthier litters of kittens multiple times a year. Furthermore, the localized abundance of food ensures that a higher percentage of those kittens survive the vulnerable early weeks of life. Without implementing a parallel intervention strategy, a daily feeding station can inadvertently transform 2 stray cats into a sprawling, multi-generational colony of 20 or 30 cats in a shockingly compressed timeline. 7. The psychological dependence trap. Our final case file examines the deep, unspoken emotional contract that forms when you feed an animal every day. Over time, as the cats grow accustomed to your voice, your scent, and your footsteps, an invisible psychological anchor is dropped. They become entirely dependent on your presence for their daily survival framework. This creates a serious responsibility trap for the caretaker. Because these cats have restructured their entire lives, territories, and biological schedules around your daily intervention, any sudden disruption to that routine can cause massive shockwaves through the colony. If you go on a sudden vacation, move away, or simply stop putting out the food, the colony is instantly thrown into a resource crisis. They have abandoned their traditional foraging habits and safety boundaries to converge on your home, leaving them highly vulnerable if the supply line abruptly vanishes. Feeding strays isn't a casual, part-time hobby. It is a long-term commitment to managing a fragile ecosystem you chose to create. When you step out onto your porch with a bowl of food, you are stepping into the role of an active ecological manager. Feeding stray cats is a profound display of human compassion. But to do it responsibly, it must be paired with mindful action. The gold standard for managing community cats is coupling your daily feeding routine with a trap-neuter return, or TNR, program. By working with local rescues to spay and neuter the cats you feed, you neutralize the population explosion, eliminate territorial spraying and fighting, and protect local wildlife, allowing you to care for your neighborhood cats without destabilizing your community. Thank you for analyzing the feline world with us today on Mindful Meow. If this deep dive changed how you see the stray cats on your street, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment letting us know your experiences with community cats, and keep watching.